back, one and all, to the Amazon EU Masters, where we are just coming into our third game of the day. It'll be the final one for myself and Majada.
I've had that a couple of times. Don't worry, no, Majada's a common one, I promise.
What
nope,
the hell?
You're not the first.
Jamada. Of course, we're going to be having more games throughout the day, but again, this one is big for Fnatic Rising. You want to try and get yourself up towards that 4-1 and really put yourself into a fantastic position to solidify your quarterfinals in the EU Masters summer.
Yeah, exactly. And Z10, they're kind of just playing for pride at this point, right? So for Fnatic Rising, this should be a game where realistically they should be taking out. After this performance against Luminar, you would expect more of the same, right? That being said, sometimes when teams don't really have much to play for, or there's, you know, the weight's off their shoulders, they just start to play a little more loose, a little more kind of off the cuff, and it can definitely catch you off guard. And that's really all Fnatic, I expect, after seeing their performance just now, have to worry about. Not getting too complacent just because it's the 0-4 team, and make sure it should just be business as usual, and they play towards whatever conditions they draft for themselves.
Yeah, honestly, I think for Fnatic, they still got to be wary, but I feel like after that performance, they're going to be feeling pretty damn confident. Of course, we did have the interview there with Big's coach. They share a facility, so they want to try and set themselves up almost like a mini LAN going up against each other later on in the day for that. What could potentially be a fight for first and second seed, and we haven't really talked about the bracket as much, but you're looking at some of these teams that have already qualified. Movistar Riders, PDW, Carmine Corp, Vodafone Giants. These are teams that even first or second, you need any advantage you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, queuing into Carmine Corp in quarters, it's going to feel bad. Going into Giants, it's going to feel bad. So you want to definitely avoid that. And of course, have the replays going, like we've been saying. Very important for Fnatic Rising to try and secure that first spot for themselves. Because I think if you're going up against those big dogs, it's going to be a tough ask for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Z10, you know, it wasn't the best way to end it. Obviously, you don't want to try. You want to try and go as far as you possibly can. But for them, this is about showing what the EBL has, what they have as players. Don't forget, this is still a stage. This is still an audition, shall we say, for other teams, other leagues, other players to try and maybe look at this guy and go, oh, maybe he's someone we could add to our roster. This is an opportunity for you and for your teammates to show that you deserve to be on this stage. You deserve to be playing in this league, and that you deserve the respect that everyone else gets and will be given.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't matter if you're not necessarily playing for anything, you're still playing for yourself, right? At the end of the day. So you can't just roll over just because. So I still want to see something of life kind of come and spring out from Z10 here in this game. As like you say, you know, you're still playing for yourself, and I think particularly some of the young players, Zamalek in particular, such a young player, very talented, hasn't really been able to show off too much, unfortunately, at this tournament. Maybe this is his game, right? He's also up against Bean, so it could be a very, very fun matchup in the bot lane.
Yeah, well, I will say it's mihai in the bot side. You're thinking, you're thinking of big. It's all good, man. There are a lot of leagues. If you didn't know, we have what? I think it's 12 ERLs, probably even more, actually, now that I think about it. It's hard to keep up with them. The Dutch and Belgian league keep comboing. It's just so difficult to know. But there are so many players and so many things to keep an eye on. And this is, as you say, an opportunity here. And I want to see them go hard. I want to see them really come in and give Fnatic something to think about. Give Fnatic a run for their money.
Yeah, absolutely. Just being able to kind of say, hey, doesn't matter if we are, you know, out. We, like you say, you want to give them a run for the money. We still want to make you work for that first place. And of course, I suppose in a way, even though Big say that they're setting up, they want that first, second place sort of land in the facility. They wouldn't mind Fnatic dropping this game either. So I'm sure deep down they might be kind of ruined for Z10.
Yeah, well, look, you got to play spoiler. There's got to be a villain in every story if it's any way decent. So maybe that's Z10 today, and maybe that's a way they can find themselves a little bit of pride. And hell, if you're a Luminar, if you're, you know, big right now, you're looking towards this match as maybe a bit of an upset, maybe something that can go your way to get yourself back into that conversation. Yeah,
and I will say, I mean, their first matchup, Z10, they made Fnatic really work for it and work for it quite hard in just about every way. Anytime Fnatic made a play for the first, what felt like 20, almost 25 minutes, Z10 were there to respond, and it came down to, you know, 2 or 3 really, really clutch team fights where either team could have won if things play out even minutely differently. But it was Fnatic that edged out in that matchup, this time with nothing really on the line for Z10, and securing that sort of buffer between the rest of the teams right now in the group. Fnatic Rising, all to play for. We're into picks and bans and meight, gonna have the Irelia removed from the game.
Yeah, we're going to see themselves now jumping into those bans. Taking a fair bit of time with them now as well. Only the Irelia banned away, but looking at these two drafts, where do you want to see, what do you want to see for Fnatic Rising? Where do you want to see them prioritize, and where do you want to see them take their draft if they want to come out with a dub?
I mean, something similar to last game wouldn't be too terrible. I personally don't like seeing Bean on things like Dajor, even though, yes, eventually when he does come online and hit those two items, he looks very scary and he does dish out the damage. At the same time, I also really like seeing Bean with a little more early game agency as well. But when Fnatic Rising played like they just did, where, you know, they'll just send numbers to the bottom side, it doesn't necessarily matter too much. But away from that, I think maybe securing the Kennen in the first 3 might be a pretty okay idea. Even though you might give over counterpick to Mimus, who I feel like has been one of the stronger performers for Z10, I feel like this Kennen continues to be a very pivotal pick in the meta. Or at the very least, in this tournament's meta, we've just seen so many ultimates effectively just win games, as we just did not too long ago. Ryze and Camille removed away from meight and Mimus respectively, and not too surprised to see the Twisted Fate ban Nidalee again target at MAXI and Z10. We'll see what they want to remove away last. I wouldn't be too surprised to honestly see them take away the Ezreal, just because from Bean, but we could also see something like the Rakan, just to nip at Rhuckz's champion pool. But with that in mind, expecting one of those AD junglers, Viego, Lee Sin, Xin Zhao. You know the whole stick already. We've been on this meta for a little while.
Absolutely, and even just before we move on to the Lee Sin, we obviously see him a million times over, but you got the Ryze, the Twisted Fate, a lot of these global champions, these global ultimates that can do a lot for the side of your team. If you can get them rolling, can influence those side lanes being taken away, and the Sylas blind, that is ballsy, for the lack of a better term.
It's confidence, yeah. It's definitely something. We'll see how Fnatic Rising want to respond to that. It does, in a way, maybe limit the champion pool of what Dajor could pull out, just because you might not necessarily want to give the Sylas such crazy ultimate options. We'll bring the Sett, see if they want to go kind of toe-to-toe, but I think, you know, again, locking in that Kennen in the first 3, just securing it just because of the nature of this champion pick, how it's been working so far at the tournament, does make a whole bunch of sense. You do, of course, however, give over the Slicing Maelstrom to the Sylas, so something to be worried about, I suppose, in one way or another. But the Sett still will be locked in. Was hovered and will still be locked in. So top side most likely for Fnatic Rising. Of course, the Sett does have the flexibility to end up in Rhuckz's hands, but like it's been a very long time since I've seen Rhuckz pilot that Sett support, and it's not quite in the meta just now.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the Kennen coming in, yes, you're giving over that very potent ultimate towards the Sylas, but look, that topside draft, you are seeing a hell of a lot of power right now in the laning phase. You got the Jayce, the Viego, the combination between the two. And actually, I'm curious to see now if Fnatic Rising, if, as you said, if that's a support set, or if it's going towards those solo lanes, we could see, technically speaking, if you watch enough LPL, that Kennen can flex between top and mid. The Sett can go mid or top. You have options available to you, and it's all about Z10 deciding where they want to try and chuck these bans.
Yeah, because the Jayce does do quite well into the Kennen a lot of the time inside of the lane. It feels like, though I guess it is a little bit skill matchup oriented. I think if you ask a lot of top laners, normally they'll lean towards the Jayce side in lane. But yeah, like you say, Kennen lane swap with that Sett wouldn't be too bad, or maybe even moving the Sett down to the bottom side could open up Fnatic to have some more options there. But AD carries being focused on both sides. Tristana, Ezreal removed away. If we're going to see more of those, maybe things like the Varus, or honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing Z10 ban away the Xayah. I think you've got a lot of short range right now, a lot of wanting to dive in. Along that same kind of vein where, you know, you don't want to get kited out by an AD carry, the Ashban comes out instead. Definitely looking towards that Xayah as a potential option for Bean. I think the short range of Z10's composition right now could definitely allow that pick to thrive, and I think Thresh ban definitely quite safe, because you don't want to have to deal with maybe something like a Thresh lock in here, and then you additionally have to deal with the Aphelios R5, and then you've got all these Bruiser of frontline champions and that Aphelios Fresh just to sit behind.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Thresh, even not just the Aphelios, you got the Jinx. Hell, maybe even if you really wanted to, you could put in another hyper carry there as well. Yeah. Like a Xayah, you've got plenty of options to throw with that. So the Thresh ban, more like 3 bans at the end of it all. And we're going to see Z10 leave that bot side to the last pick again. They did this when they picked up the Seraphine in game 1. They are going to do it again now in game 3. But now for Fnatic Rising, you've got a lot of answers to what you're doing. Again, I look at everyone on Z10, the Sylas, the Viego, the Jayce, and hell, even the Leona. They all want to jump on top of you. If you've a Sett, a Lee Sin, a Kennen, you've got a lot of ways of disengaging and hell, just blowing them up as they come in.
Yeah, and Aphelios does really well at dealing with compositions like that. And yeah, from Aphelios, such a strong rotation. I would expect mihai to probably go down the Varus route, try and match it in lane would be my best guess, but we'll see. They are going out for 2 games where they can kind of get a little bit creative, have a little bit of fun with it if they want to. We'll have to see, but definitely a very strong composition. It's going to be the Karthus lock-in.
Okay, so AP bot side, get that global pressure. You are looking into an Aphelios, so it will be given time to scale up and to become a late game menace if Fnatic Rising don't throw something down towards that bot side.
Yeah, absolutely, and even throwing stuff down towards a Karthus is kind of tricky, just because he's got the passive as well. If you overcommit or take a lot of time to kill the Karthus, he will deal a lot of damage back to you, and then you still have to deal with the passive and the retreat of that. Very interesting lock-in. For me, and I feel like because Fnatic Rising have been playing towards sides as well, honestly, having the Karthus global as a potential response is not terrible, in my opinion. So I like the creativity coming out here. It can definitely match some of the scaling options that Aphelios does give. I feel like Aphelios, though, into most of the Z10 composition is really going to thrive. And when he's online, Fnatic look online a lot of the time as I love him back on the big screen.
Yeah, no, we went back to the big screen. I just wanted to wave to chat, you know, say hi. I'm sorry, I'm a little loopy. But yeah, like looking at the way you were talking about the compositions working in together, I do have a little bit of, I suppose, fear right now for the side of Z10. It feels like if their composition doesn't get the right start, it will just stop there. And then Fnatic Rising, fantastically good at snowballing if they find themselves an opportunity similar to what we saw against Illuminar literally a game ago.
Yep, and again, speak about the versatility of things like the Kennen. It doesn't just have to be a flanking, you know, threat. If you're diving onto Fnatic Rising and Pride just so happens to be on top of the stack, he just presses R and he gets all of his damage off, all of the CC, and of course Sett, such a great re-engager as well. Gonna be able to deal with the Leona, with the Sylas and the Viego quite easily, I feel like. But I will say, in turn, meight has quite a few strong ultimates to take for himself, and Ryuzaki also loads of strong sort of individual champions too. Sett, the Lee Sin, even taking away the Braum just because you get the concussive blows passive can be quite devastating on a team fight turnaround. Actually, the duo of stealing champions abilities. So sure,
I was just about to say, you got yourself stealing the champion and stealing the ultimate together. They are, in fact, just taking everything from the enemy team if they can get going. And we have seen so far today just how good this Viego can be, even in Z10's loss. You know, Ryuzaki was on 5-1-1 on this Viego pick. He was able to get a lot of that momentum going for him. So got to be very aware of it, as we do see the bot side and pushing in to get that control of the brush as a good pan out of wards to try and spot out where MAXI will be starting. And that's the beautiful thing about wards. If you know that he's not on the Red Wolf or on the Raptors, you probably know he's top side. So with the lack of information is information in itself.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word. It's really going to bug me. But deductive. Yeah, deductive, you know, through deduction, you're like, okay, yeah, like you say, not on the bot side, should be on the top side. So that alone should give them all of the information they need. Both the junglers going to be pathing down towards the bottom side. And I mean, in a way, a lot of volatility with a Karthus. Even if Karthus starts to, quote-unquote, fall behind, there's always the fear of him being able to, you know, 1-for-1, or even just picking up more kills. If you start to abuse him, you get a little bit sloppy on dives or whatnot. He starts to stack up on the damage, and even there you saw 2 Qs, 150 damage, 160 damage, not terrible at all. Now will start to get worse as Dajor finds the better end of that trade. Meight gonna have to get a couple of points in Kingslayer before you can really start to try and stand up to the trading power of the Sett in the early stages. Z10 bottom side going pretty well in terms of the priority. MAXI is pathing down towards there. He does have Dajor in support if they want to try and go for this bottom side skull. See how Fnatic Rising want to pilot the jungle pathing, because Ryuzaki, if he wants to be on skull a long time, he's going to have to skip out on the blue or the Grom.
Oh, we're gonna see yeah, I was gonna say top side. Momo's not hitting that accelerated shock blast. You can see even with the To The Skies, you just don't have that straight up upfront burst. And you're a mana champion against an energy champion. You're not going to have the same level of trading capabilities, especially if you're not making the work this early on.
Yeah, exactly. First couple of waves, very, very important for a champion like Jayce, especially, like you say, into those energy champions, effectively, you know, resourceless in a way. can very easily start to outdamage yours. Z10 in the mid lane. Dajor could be in trouble.
They're gonna go for it nicely.
Wow.
Flashing forward, max range on the root. Beautifully set up there for the first blood.
Yeah, real great play now. MAXI. Oh, he just snuck away the skull. I wonder if this is going to turn into a bit of a manhunt. We'll see. MAXI looks out though.
They're gonna keep hunting because he ain't gonna be found, as they know now exactly where he is, but just a little bit too far away. Probably gonna see the accelerated shock blast in 3, 2. No,
nope.
Actually, not even gonna use it. Just want to keep the mana. Yeah, just wants the space and get himself back into top.
Yeah. So MAXI does at least secure that skull for himself, but first blood in the mid lane. Dajor, I don't even feel like he was overstepping too much. It's just the chain CC that comes out from Ryuzaki. As soon as you don't flash that initial stun, she's never quite going to make it out, unfortunately. So nice proactiveness from Z10.
Yeah, great little start for them there, as we do see the power of this Aphelios just being able to be his own little CC bot. As be a bit careful on this Leona. You just use your flash and ignite in towards that mid lane, but Ryuzaki now in this bot side, gonna maybe look for a little bit of a repeat gank. There's the exhaust, gonna be cleansed away, but they're going to send a blade to try and trade this one back, but it's a bot laner for bot laner, 1-for-1 trade. Rhuckz should still be fine, has got his flash, but that's a 1-for-1 trade. Fnatic Rising not gonna be overtly happy, but definitely not unhappy.
Yeah, but I think the more crucial thing is look at the wave on the bottom side. It's actually slow pushing in to Z10, so they're totally okay with it, especially with mihai picking up that kill. As you see, the damage is just kind of big from the Karthus. All of those lay wastes, all of the single target lay waste damage in particular. The big deal was meight. Force the flash as we come out of the replay. Away from a gank from MAXI, so nice bit of pressure in response. MAXI definitely trying to find his way onto the board on that Lee Sin, as you always want to in the early stages. Mid lane definitely a strong target to want to do that with Sett and Sylas, just because of the nature of the two champions. Always going to be throwing hands at each other, always going to be kind of chunked out. And now, multiple members on both sides. Rhuckz and MAXI on vision. Don't believe Wojtus is, so 3v2.
Yeah, they've been spotted now, they know it, so they're going to go forward. There is the Haymaker, not quite able to get the full damage, but the concussive blow is going to be able to bring down this Leona to a very low health bar. They're just going to try and stop her getting the root out. Flash forward, Dajor getting himself a kill. Nice response here from Fnatic Rising, and I feel like Z10, you had all the information, you just had to back away.
Yeah, I just totally agree. You know where MAXI and Rhuckz are. You know you're at numbers disadvantage. I feel like maybe overestimating how close Ryuzaki is to the play, potentially that's my best bet. My best guess there, but Fnatic, they're going to be the ones up trading there. MAXI will also pick up this Skull Crab, so feeling pretty happy about that one. And I'll now look probably towards the neutral, probably towards that Ocean Dragon in the next couple of minutes or so. Maybe it gets ignored. I feel like the bottom lane matchup is one of those matchups where if you're Fnatic, you maybe don't want to touch it. And for Z10, if you have the opportunity to take the dragon, nice, you get it. It's not really like a big prize. But if you can force plays around the Karthus, you're probably okay, just because, again, so powerful at just kind of picking up these random 1-for-1s. Very hard to ever up trade on this champion. And now he's even going to have access to the Requiem. So this is what I was talking about when we came just out of draft. Fnatic did such a good job of attacking side lanes in the mid game. Just making plays and having the Requiem in the back pocket to potentially respond. Such a strong tool. Mid lane meight in trouble.
Yeah, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Soul and Glacial Fish are going to be blocked, but they cannot get the final auto attack for those concussive blows. Now Pride with the slicing maelstrom. There's going to be technically 4 people on this top side. They're going to try and jump straight back in. It's actually a great little turnaround here for the side of Fnatic Rising. They trade 1-for-1, and MAXI may be thinking about going in again, but 1-for-1 definitely still work for Fnatic Rising.
Yeah, definitely okay with that, considering the resources committed by Z10. 3 members on the top side, plus the Requiem. Pride and MAXI, the only ones defending that play, and Rhuckz and Dajor in the mid lane. Trying to find a pick onto meight, didn't quite work out as Bean.
Oh, he flashes forward, he's got himself the red-white, let's fight Bean! Not quite able to get the kill, ends up taking a couple too many turret shots. Feel like he needed the flash into the Moonlight Vigil, but at the end of the day, it is both bot laners without their summoners.
Yeah, absolutely. Still flash for flash at the end of the day, so we'll be vulnerable to some plays here. Wojtus could have potentially been picked on, but Fnatic Rising opted against it, because the juicier prize is definitely that Rift Herald. And they know mihai with no Requiem on the bottom side. If they wanted to commit Bean to the top side as well, they could have. Plain numbers advantage. Z10 coming off the reset, but they are going to try and poke their way in. They're going to look for the fight.
Leona goes way too deep and now can't really join in this fight. It's going to be a couple of auto attacks. Flash burned almost as soon as it came back off of cooldown. Rift Herald was picked up by Fnatic Rising. The rest of them are here, but they're all going to try and back themselves away. Fnatic Rising, they were caught out a little bit by the early game aggression, but now they're adjusting fine.
Yeah, adjusting fine indeed. No major gold lead, but picking up that Rift Herald, going to be a pretty big deal. Expect that they put it onto Bean in this game. No mid lane Herald, kind of just thrown away. Expect there to be a little more intention about it. This time around, you've got jungle camps on the bottom side. You've got the slow wave as well on the bottom side stacking in. See how Fnatic want to use their resources and time here. As might's going to get a shove in the mid lane, so maybe you can rotate down to the bottom side. With Ryuzaki, try and put a stop to the play with some vision. Or at least give them a little more time to react to it. But Z10, I feel maybe try and look for another play on the top side again. Or, okay, well, for Pride looking for a play on the top side.
Honestly, he can go for this. No problem whatsoever. There's no flash on Mummus. One last auto attack will do it. Now we can see in this bot lane, they're trying to trade this one back. It ends up being the AD carry going down as mihai does get concussive blows. And there's action all around the map. Jamada ends up being, in the end, a 3-for-1 trade in favor. Sorry, let me make an addendum to that. 3-for-2 trade in favor of Fnatic Rising.
Yeah, but Bean died. Didn't pick up a single kill credit, I don't believe. And the Karthus was the one that picked up even more kills, so he's going to be a little bit further ahead than Bean, actually. And like I said, action across the map. As I was saying, I guess, in a way, a bit of a pseudo-cost curse. Maybe Z10 make another play towards the top side once that Requiem's up and available. They kind of just understand that maybe they're going to lose members on the bottom side because Fnatic Rising had that wave stacking up, but they just kind of stopped the play in its tracks. Pretty much in a 2v2. Pride finds the solo kills on the top side. A whole bunch of chaos right now.
I love seeing the exhaust as well coming out from mihai, because the exhaust is what's keeping him alive away from Bean, because Bean goes in, but even with the red-white let's fight combination of the chakrams and the Severum, you just can't get the damage down this early to make it stick.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even with the high DPS of that combination, you're not at, you know, that really ridiculous... Sorry, like, made me laugh. You're not at the point where you're not at the point where you can really match the Karthus damage, right? Specifically as well when you're hitting those individual lay waste damage Qs, it's just, you know, 250, 300 a pop. As Mummus wants it again. Pride no armor just yet, but MAXI's here.
MAXI is here, which means that he is almost certainly dead. That's another kill there to Fnatic Rising, and they are starting to pick up the pace, similar to their first game against Illuminar. They get themselves into the game, then they just find their comfort zone and they keep pushing.
Yeah, they are finding their comfort zone indeed in the gear right now, and it seems like Herald on the top side will be the answer meight. And we're just in trouble potentially.
Oh, they're going to go for the Requiem coming down to try and maybe trade this one back, but might not really in a position. They will miss out on the ultimate, but the showstopper ends it all. Oh. Nicely done. And while that was happening, Viego dies on the top side, and this game is just descended into chaos, Jamada.
Yeah, and MAXI didn't even drop the Herald here on the top side, so let's see what he's going to look for. Shock Blast Mummus knows he's there. And we'll get a replay of everything. So, Mummus, I'm not really sure. He didn't really have the information on MAXI, but even then, I just feel like going for this play is a little bit overzealous. Why is he even in this position? It looked like wanted to get an information, drop a ward in the blue side jungle, and then in the mid lane, it's like Z10 want to try and respond with mid lane priority, but Dajor and co just kind of pick them off, and Ryuzaki face checking willingly into MAXI.
I mean, it's fine against one person, but he just jumped straight in on top of Pride, thinking he could take the 1v2, thinking maybe he'd get a bit of a quick reset, not quite able to do it. And then, of course, we did see the showstopper to end it all off. Rafael does have to get popped down a little bit earlier than they probably would have wanted, but it should be pretty easy now for the side of Fnatic Rising to push this one in, get themselves some more turret plates, and maybe even look for a dive. They have a lot of members here. Yeah,
they are sending members up 3 in the mid lane already. And Pride also had the opportunity, if you wanted to, off that wave to rotate down into the mid lane, but it won't be the case. Neither team really cares about the dragon right now. 13 minutes in. Neither has picked up that dragon, so it will be a late soul, if a soul even occurs in this game. As coming up short on the 15-minute mark, might be in pretty poor trade, but that's the nature of Sett. A lot of mythics starting to roll in. Fnatic Rising in particular, got the Pro Belt, or the Rocket Belt rather. Gore Drinker finished up, and Bean should be pretty close to his first item. in the next base or two. And on the opposite side, Eclipse, despite Mumus, you know, being solo killed, being picked on a little bit, has his Eclipse and tier, and mihai too, Leandri's Lament. Speaking of Mumus getting picked on.
He has flash. He's going to try and maybe use it to the skies. Knockback. Nope, never mind. He's going to get caught out anyway. Double flash. They don't even need them. Maxi picks himself up a kill, and that's going to be Z10. Another little movement there bomb towards the bot side, but you don't have to follow up on the TP coming in here as well. Means that Dajor is going to jump in and try and just defend his AD carry. Now he's in a little bit of trouble. Teleport going to be committed. Another teleport. Showstopper to bring them all in.
Oh no.
Oh, face breaker just means everything for the side of Fnatic Rising. A triple kill for Pride, and that is just absolutely devastating here for Z10. They're trying to make a move, but they just can't get anything to stick.
It's just an absolutely nasty combo coming out from Fnatic Rising. Bean also found the ultimate Moonlight Vigil onto multiple members with that caliber, and we'll get the replay of it. Not that we necessarily need it. It's absolutely disgusting coming out. And I mean, the teleport comes in from Dajor, right? He's trying to defend Bean on the bottom side. I guess it kind of makes sense, but Bean's out of this play. While Z10 see this like, okay, I guess we still got numbers down here, but the teleport comes in, ultimate, into Facebreaker, into all of the damage, plus Pride coming down with the slicing Maelstrom. It's just so much for Z10 to deal with, and only the Sett dies.
It just seems to be slipping further and further away. 4,500 gold lead now for Fnatic Rising. They've got their first items, like we mentioned, coming in as well, and they're just being able to answer everything that Z10 throw at them. They're able to throw back just as hard, able to keep themselves right in the ascendancy, and now Z10, it looks like they're going to try and trade this Rift Herald for a dragon. Should be successful in doing so, but it's a very, very late first dragon for either side, so Soul is miles away.
Soul is miles away. Earliest one we would see would be at 30 minutes, and that's assuming Z10 get the next 3. Which, given the trajectory of this game, I'm no betting man, but if I were, say it's pretty unlikely. And like you say, it's slipping further and further away. It feels like a bit of a kick. Watch they're down Z10, but Bean and Rhuckz out position here. No summoners on Bean.
No summoners on Bean, but he's got the rest of Fnatic Rising. Who needs summoners when you've got friendship as they get themselves all back out? And oh my god, so much damage there coming out from Bean as he gets himself backed up and towards that top side. While that's all been happening, you have five members top side from the side of Z10. Means that you're giving time towards Dajor in that bot lane to push up and maybe take down that turret.
Yeah, absolutely. Fnatic Rising continue to assume control over the map. They've got that Herald for when they want to use it. We'll see. I mean, that mid lane tower is so low that they might just opt not to. I feel like when you're in this kind of position, you would ideally like to use it on a side lane tier 2 just because of the gold locked inside of that tower. We'll see though, because like you say, mid lane tier 1 for Z10, it's so low. One push with a couple of members in the area should be enough to secure it. Pride.
Oh no. Oh no. I've seen this before. He's going to get himself a solo kill.
Boy.
Nothing you can do. Pride is massive. 5-1 and 3 on the Kennen. Really finding himself in a great spot. We are going to see Dajor just showing Mike that he is around. Well, this top side is owned by the side of Fnatic Rising. Now they want to own the mid lane. They're going to jump in with the Moonlight Vigil, use the Gravitum to maybe bring him down. The Lee Sin Sonic Wave lands, but MAXI knows it's maybe just a bridge too far. They just wanted the summoners. They just want the tower, and now they have complete and utter control of this map. And Leona, you need to run away. Needs to be a little bit careful. Great fancy feet. Dodges out both Qs for the Lee Sin and the Braum. Doesn't dodge that one, but doesn't matter as Pride's just been solo pushing in this top side. So again, more towers, more gold, more pressure for Fnatic Rising.
Yep, just being slowly suffocated out. Great stuff on the map from Fnatic Rising, and this time comes from the individual player. Pride just sees Mumus and says, all right, 200 gold in my pocket, I guess. Takes him off the map, and then additionally gets 600 from that tier 2. So very, very strong right now. 2 items already, Zhonya's and Rocket Belt, and just upgraded to the Sork shoes, plus a needlessly larger odds. So Pride, very, very scary threat. If he finds his way onto anybody on the Z10 lineup, he is probably going to blow them up. Nothing short of. He has to get exhausted, otherwise it's going to be an absolute disaster in the team fights.
Yeah, it just feels like you're waiting. You got mihai up to level 11, so, you know, not lacking in a lot of damage just yet, but you are so far away from some of those big key items from being completed. You realistically want maybe 2.5 items for this Karthus. You definitely want the Zhonya's for the Sylas as well. So, and even the poke damage from Umma's just not really going to be as good. You're a full item behind Pride, who's just, anytime you try and go in the top of him, anytime you try to solo him out, he's just going to have an answer and kill you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be so scary. And now Herald on the bottom side, looking to push up on the tier 2. Seems like Fnatic Rising have their eyes on that prize. Try and get the charge in at the very least, but the eye is open. Unless it closes, not like they're going to be out of luck. Looks like they will be. No additional charge here. But still, push up in the mid lane is going to have to pull Z10 back. And Fnatic Rising, all the pressure in the world, time in the world. We'll say that poke wasn't too bad from Rhuckz, but it's no fed Jayce damage where Bean would have to maybe go back to base.
Yeah, it's no 50% HP, which, you know, we have seen quite a few times throughout any professional League of Legends league throughout the world. So now we are going to wait and see how Fnatic Rising want to continue this siege. They are pushing down towards this bot side. The Everfrost comes down. Great kick, and oh, nicely done, but so tanky with the Haymaker. There is the ultimate from the Moonlight Vigil. There is going to be enough damage with the Requiem, not even needed. Ends up being the Viego for the Sett trade. While that's happening, though, in the mid lane, you can see Pride just pushing in, getting more damage on this turret, and Z10, they're just being spread too thin.
Yeah, exactly, being spread too thin. They've just got to defend too many things at the same time. Fnatic just pulling them across the map. So well done by them. They really want this tier 2. Meight looking on the flank, but Pride is also now here, and Meight is dead.
Oh, he was looking at the shop, or rather he was looking at the bot lane, didn't have his camera over himself, and that is going to be a pretty easy take up now. 12 seconds till this dragon spawns. Fnatic Rising is going to clear out the vision, push in the waves as we get ourselves a nice little replay of this fight down bot side.
Exactly. Real well done from Meight, honestly, to find the insect here. They've just comes behind him, gets the kick in, but Dajor with the Haymaker shield, it's just too much to deal with. And Ryuzaki does commit quite deep, but the rest of Z10 can't really follow up on this. Bean can't get though once unfortunately in the mid lane. Pride shoving up the whole time, and then Meight, I mean, you say looking at the shop perhaps. If he wasn't looking at the shop, well, Pride made him look at the shop either way. Sends him back to the fountain. So much damage coming out of that Kennen. Doesn't even have the death cap yet, which I imagine is what he's eyeing up towards with the needs large rod. Actually has an additional stop.
I was just about to say, I actually kind of like this because Pride can be even more aggressive, pushing forward, getting themselves into a much more difficult position to maybe get out of, and just has stasis for an extra 2.5 seconds. So easy enough to kind of keep themselves there. We're going to see a death brush now being picked up, but Rhuckz very wise to the tricks of Z10. The Fnatic death brush belongs to them, Z10. You cannot take that away from them. And again, you put 5 members in the top side, Pride's going to keep pushing bot.
Yeah, Pride is just... Actually, observers, if I may, how much gold does Pride have? Because...
Oh my god.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Observers, put it away. We might break Twitch's terms of use.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I don't want to say anymore. Scary.
It was a lot. It was about 3,000, if not 2.5 minimum on this, you know, this Kennen, and you're looking at it now, 8,000 gold lead. You've got the run on the map. You've got 2 items on most of your key carries here. I'm going to ask you the impossible question. Is there a feasible way for Z10 to get back into this? Are you waiting for a throw from the gods?
Feasible? No. Yeah, like you say, throw from the gods. I think that's the more likely one here for Fnatic. They have to muck up somewhere, but they've been playing relatively safe with a fair amount of their plays. So I don't really expect, at least when they're in the lead, they have been,
yeah, no. He's gonna go in. He's gonna try and set this one up. Leona got nowhere to go. So there's a kill. Maybe they look to try and turn this one now onto the Baron. They have got the TP onto Pride. He's going to go back and maybe pick up either a death cap or something equivalent. Actually going to just pick up his second needlessly large rod. And this game feels done and dusted. It is a... very much Fnatic gonna go for the Baron right now, and there is an opportunity with Ryuzaki, excuse me, maybe go for the steal, but they don't have any vision. They are going in blind to this.
They are indeed. Let's see when Ryuzaki can get in. Fnatic flipped to Baron before.
No. This is the TP. There's a slicing maelstrom. The health bars are deleted. There's nothing you can do. 1 kill, 2 kills, make it 3 and 4. Not going to be able to get up those last few ones, but at the end of it all, it's going to be, look,
Right,
second stopwatch. That's why you pick it up, but they do lose their mid laner. So Z10 will trade that one, ends up being a 3-for-1 after the first kill. Pride's not got a lot of health right now. Mihai is here and will have a lot of damage, but not a lot of mana. Fnatic Rising pushing it towards his Baron. I don't think you can take this one right now. Leona will go forward, but with these movements coming in, Gale Force forward, Lee Sin kick in. That's enough to take down the Leona just as she comes out from gray screen, ends up going back. Fnatic Rising will get the kills, but they won't get the Baron.
It starts with the Z10 support, and it ends with the Z10 support. Quite poetic, if you ask me, Penguin.
Beautiful. Unbelievable.
They will, I believe, pick up that mid tier 1 as a bit of a consolation. And Fnatic, honestly, they flipped a Baron similarly to this against the Luminar. Didn't want to make the same mistake. This time around, go for the turn. Pride finds a massive ultimate onto the back line, and it just forces Z10 completely out. And like you said, double stopwatch. Well, Zhonya's in stopwatch stops him from dying to that Requiem. Dajor, not quite so lucky this time around.
He didn't have 2 stopwatches, so that's the big strat. That's the big brain strat that you don't get to have if you're not a Kennen, you know? But ended up selling it. Now has a death cap, so doing even more abhorrent levels of damage. But Fnatic Rising feel... I'm not going to say that they're throwing, but they're feeling shaky around this Baron. It is still only an 8,000 gold lead, and Baron is one of those, as you say, burger flips. They're not even going to go for it. They're going to go straight for the Karthus. Dead, deleted, nowhere to go. And now with those big AoE Skittles no longer available, they can maybe turn and burn.
Yeah, with Karthus off the map, I think doing this Baron gets a lot easier, if they even want to do it, that is. We'll have to see how fast-paced they're feeling, but turning heel towards it, I expect that to be the case. Pride's so strong right now, he can just sit in fog with that ultimate and wait for members of Z10 to walk into him if they feel like it. Instead, Ryuzaki, potentially Wojtus as well, looking at Dajor on the bottom side of the map, but Tower's not too far away from him. Pretty sure he's just out.
He's going to use the Viego as a little bit of a taxi there. Going to get Spacebreaker and the Haymaker. Ryuzaki can't tank this up for much longer. The Leona's here, so just trying to get the minions on top of this. But look at the amount of time he's buying. The Zenith plate goes off. There's the stopwatch you want to be seeing. They're going to use so much, and he's going to trade it back. No way! No way! No way does he get away with that, and the base is under siege. Z10, you went for a miracle throw, and unfortunately you fell flat on your face. And while that's all been happening, Pride pushing top. The Baron went down. Z10, they just can't get a break.
Yeah, Z10 might be going out with a bit of a whimper on this occasion, unfortunately. Go for the extended play. Dajor quite simply outplays them, nothing else to say about it. Fnatic Rising cracking open the base. They found the top lane inhibitor. Pride picked up solo kill onto Maya, and now they're onto the second. Could even look to maybe end on this push if they feel like they're certainly strong enough, but looks like they will just back away for now. Want to play it by the books. Don't want to take any unnecessary risks. As we'll get the replay, I'm assuming, on the bottom side play. Dajor just buys his time. CC doesn't fully connect, but even if it does, stopwatch probably would have stopped the chain CC. Facebreaker back into the tower to ensure Wojtus dies, and if Mumus doesn't flash at that specific time, eats another tower shot, Dajor runs him down and kills him for sure.
Well,
as a round 2
fight as they maybe look for something here. They're going to use the Xenoblade. This time it connects, but only a slow. They're going to use the Showstopper to try and get him and maybe trade this one. But Fnatic are here. There is the Haymaker with the shield. He will eventually fall, and they will get the resets coming in. Pride is there. Does he have himself an ultimate? Not quite just yet. He doesn't even need it. It's a fight on 2 fronts. We're going to focus on the top side for the moment, as we can see down the top side is the one that we're going to be keeping looking at right now. As Mike tries to go in on top of the Sylas, trying to see if he can get on top of Rhuckz, but Bean is too big. Pride and MAXI are all just hunting, waiting for him to try and go over the wall, and too little too late. Ace for 1. Fnatic Rising 28 kills to 9, 8 turrets to 2, 1 dragon apiece, 28 minutes. They're going to take the game.
They've absolutely dominated this one. Fnatic Rising, not much else to say. Z10 weren't really able to stand up to them. Definitely applaud the creativity of the Karthus pick. Z10 weren't really able to get him rolling, and Fnatic Rising were able to get just about everybody rolling, really. Fnatic Rising, they're going to advance to 4-1. That puts them in a pretty good spot to make it to quarterfinals. Big and Illumina still have 2 games of their own to play, however. So you know, still a lot left on the table for the teams, and of course Fnatic Rising, their final game of the day going to be against Big, and Big, of course, after this one will be taking on Illumina. So that's another big matchup now for, you know, the destiny of this group.
Yeah, honestly, I think for Fnatic Rising, you're in a fantastic position. You've played your 2 games. You've come out with 2 wins. You are basically through if Big can take the win over Illuminar. Illuminar will go down to 0-2 on the day, which means that they can only equal out to a 3-3 score, and that's going to be a massive issue for them. But we're going to send it to a quick break, and when we return, we will break down that game, what it means for Group C in much more detail after this.
He's going to flash in, and he steals the Braum! How did that connect by Edgeway?
Fini! As EU Masters Champions!
We're back for the final time today. It is just myself and Jamada. We are going to be looking towards how that game went down and also the implications it brings now towards this group. Like we said, we came in with both Illuminar Gaming, Fnatic Rising, and Big all on 2-1, and now Fnatic Rising 4-1, coming in with a 2-0 day so far. Jamada, it's looking clean for the NLC.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, very impressed with how Fnatic have been playing today. Z10, a little more of a walk in the park. It looked a little bit scary, maybe, in the opening acts with mihai getting so many random kills and just trading one for one anytime Fnatic made the play, but it was definitely this play here. It's just such a great wombo combo. Look at it, man. Face breaker into the caliber moment, into the slicing maelstrom, the haymaker as well. It's just so much damage. It's so nice.
so clean. And again, I gotta harp on about Dajor because this guy is 18 years old. First EU Masters, first competitive split in the NLC, or first competitive year in the NLC. The man seems to be making waves, and we'll see a lot of what he's able to do against some of the bigger talent. But honestly, this is someone that if I'm anyway inclined of thinking, all right, who's the next of the LLC, or LEC, this is the guy I gotta keep keeping my eyes on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, down the line, you might have to, and especially when you're talking about the context of a situation, filling in for Featherburn, it often means he's kind of just directly being compared to Febby sometimes, or quite a lot of the time when you talk about how much impact he had on this Fnatic Rising roster whilst he was here. So definitely going to keep my eyes on him as the tournament progresses. And just in general, it's always the joy of watching EU Masters. So much young talent with so much to potentially give.
Yeah, I think the big thing you're looking at now as we kind of come out of this game and knowing the Fnatic Rising are on that 4-1, the last representative from the NLC, they are in prime position to get themselves at minimum a top 2 spot and put themselves into those quarterfinals. And this is where you earn your bread and butter. This is where you earn yourself your place. You need to be coming out absolutely swinging, and they have done that today. They really were decisive against Luminar Gaming. Once they saw an opportunity, they took it, and that game just there was just decisive and straight up, you know, stat stiff. They just had the gold lead. They knew they could take every single fight. Yep,
absolutely, and we'll have to see if they can keep it up when they eventually match up to Big. But like you say, it's such a big advantage now to be 4-1. It effectively means they are almost as good as in quarterfinals. I think there are still tiebreak scenarios where they could actually end up 3rd place, but you know, Luminar Big still have to play each other, and that'll probably be the biggest decider. If Big win that game, then it will be Big and Fnatic making it through.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll have a game towards the end of the day for that seeding. Of course, Luminar Gaming, they're not out just yet. They've got themselves one last chance to try and keep themselves in the Amazon EU Masters contention. We will send it to a break, and when we return, it won't be us, it will be Hitbrain and Trouble taking over the cast.